What's up? It's Paul from Guitar World, and today we're going to be looking at two spectacular combos from Marshall amps, the DSL15C and the DSL40C. Let's check them out. Marshall is well known as the king of amplifiers, and what we have here are two newest additions to the DSL series of amps. The 15C, which is a 15-watt amp, and then the DSL40C, which is a 40-watt amp. Let's begin by looking at the DSL15. The Marshall DSL15C, as I said before, is a 15-watt amp with two channels and shared EQ. Now, the interesting thing about this particular amplifier from Marshall is that this one uses 6V6 tubes, which give it sort of a very warm sound as opposed to its brother, the 40C, with EL34s. Now, you can see the two channels have two different types of gain structure. One's the classic gain, and moving over here, we have the ultra gain. Obviously, the classic gain is not as crunchy as, say, the ultra gain, but either or, they're both, you can get really a wide range of tones between them. So each channel has its own separate gain and volume control, so you can set more or less a rhythm and solo sound. Of course, they share the EQ with the typical treble middle bass presence. There's a tone shift button over here, which basically scoops out the mids and gives it more of that metal sound. There's also a deep switch, which adds a lot more bottom end instead of, say, a resonance control. It also has its own separate reverb. Moving over to the big brother, the DSL40C, this one packs 40 watts of power with EL34 tubes, which gives this particular combo the famous Marshall sound that they're known for. The same idea works here as on the DSL15C. They have two channels. One's called the classic gain, one's the ultra gain, both with its own separate gain and volume controls, respectively. Now, the difference here is they come with, both channels have their own separate mode switch. So on classic gain, you have either clean or crunch mode. And over here on ultra gain, you have lead 1, lead 2 mode, which gives you two different voicings of gain. Shared EQ as well. And there's also a tone shift, just like the DSL15, which scoops out the mids for more of that metal sound. Instead of the deep switch that is found on the DSL15C, we have a resonance knob and, of course, the presence control, which is part of the EQ. And over here, you have your own separate reverb control for either channel. So for the classic channel reverb and the ultra channel reverb that you can set. Finally, of course, both Marshall DSL40C and the DSL15C come with a single Celestion speaker. Let's hear the DSL15C. I'll begin with the classic gain channel with the gain set at noon, and then I'll crank the gain so you get to hear what that sounds like as well. Now moving over to the ultra gain channel, which I'll foot switch over to. You'll get to hear the sound of it right now with the gain set at noon, and then I'll dime the gain. And I'll also kick in the mid shift so you get to hear how the mids drop out for that scooped sound. Moving over to the DSL40C, this of course has the EL34 tube, so it has more of that Marshall sound, that really pronounced mid-range. And let's begin by hearing the classic gain channel. Right now I have it set to clean. I'll let you hear that, what that sounds like, and then I'll kick it into the mode switch for crunch, so you get to hear the crunch of that particular channel. Now moving over to the ultra gain channel on the DSL40C. I'll let you hear the lead one first, which has more of a tighter gain, and then as you click it into the mode for lead 2, it gives you a little more gain with a little more bottom end, so it's great for soloing as well. And you'll hear that with a little bit of the reverb on this channel. If you're looking for the best in crunch and classic sounds, look no further than the DSL40C and the DSL15C from Marshall. Both amps deliver that Marshall sound that they're so well known for. The issue here is whether you need 40 watts of power or 15 watts of Marshall sound. Definitely check it out.